What's up, everyone? On the bench, we have the BetaFPV Hx100. Now, I've done a little review on this quad some time ago, and while at the time I only put about 100 packs through it, I have now put in almost 3 times that many. So if you enjoy videos like this, hit that subscribe button to stay informed when I drop product reviews like this in the future. So let's go over some specs real quick, and then we'll get into the long-term review, and I'll tell you about my experience with this quad. So it's marketed to have a custom EOS 2 camera, 1103 8000 kV motors, good for both 2 and 3S batteries, that can hold both a 65mm and 2.5 inch prop. This quad also has a 12 amp ESC with a VTX output rated for 25 and 200 milliwatts. This frame is 2mm thick and has a very sturdy canopy that can take some hits and keep going. So here we are, 300 plus packs through this thing, and I have to say, it has won me some good races, and its performance is definitely there, but it has also given me some issues. So when I first got this quad in the air, I was using the stock settings, and while I really don't remember what they were, it left some to be desired. I quickly changed over to Betaflight 4.1 and updated my ESC firmware for RPM filtering. I changed from the stock 65mm props to the Avan Rush 2.5 inch props, gave it a bit of tune, and it flew like a dream. I took it to its first open class 2S race here at our chapter and took the win on the awesome course we flew. The Avan Rush props really gave me so much more control, tracking very well in turns and plenty of speed in the straights. It really flies similar to my 5-inch quad, which makes this Toothpick style class an amazing alternative to fly in smaller spaces to keep your skills up during times which 5-inch is unavailable. The more packs I put through this, the more I crashed it. And it was holding up very well to a bunch of the crashes that I had, including crashes directly in the trees and gates. But considering I know that parts eventually break if you crash your quads enough, I decided to go ahead and purchase some spare parts. So I went out and bought a set of new motors and a couple spare frames. So several more practice sessions of pushing the HX just as hard as I could to try and get ready for my second race. Let me just say I'm glad that I bought some spare parts. In that race there was a blind turn coming from the hallway under the table, and for the life of me I just could not get it right. And it seemed every time that I'd crash on it, I'd hit the motor perfectly against the metal pole, which resulted in breaking several of the motor bells. And even though the bells broke, it did let me see how easy it was to change out a motor. In just a few minutes, my quad was back up in the air thanks to the plug. It made for a fast and easy swap. One thing that a friend mentioned, which really made me think, was the fact that the Avan Rush props were just so strong that it could possibly be a bad thing. Personally, never having to change out a set of these because these things just don't break, they seem to have no flex or give, which in turn could have contributed to the bells breaking since there was really no point of relief in crashes with the Avan Rush. I have since switched over to the HQ 65mm bi-blades, and I've yet to have any issues with breaking a motor bell on a crash, even with direct hits on poles. And while these props are not quite as strong as the Rush, the trade-off in performance and flight time is well worth it in my opinion over breaking bells. Now, I did have one crash directly on a wooden post, which resulted in what I originally thought was a broken flight controller. So I ordered a new one, hooked it up, and I still got no tones. The conclusion that I ended up coming up with was it was the VTX that was broken. And when I ordered another one and hooked it up, it worked like a charm. I guess if you have issues with no tones and you're not getting any video signal, then try to replace that VTX first. At least I have a spare flight controller on hand now, since I bought one to replace what I originally thought was a broken flight controller, which turned out to be the VTX. So all in all, despite having broken several motor bells and a VTX on a crash, this quad really does perform quite good for the money. And if you're looking for a tiny toothpick to rip around the track and rip good, then I recommend this quad to you. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, like the next video, which I'll show my current rates and settings on the HX100, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date. I'll leave you guys with some flight footage. Take care.